This is just what's called the Assisi stitch. So you see the back and the front. The first time or the second time I went to Assisi, George said, bring me anything that has the Assisi stitch on it. Anything, I don't care how much it costs.
Oh.
So this was given to me by my best friend over there, Oriana. She made it. I have many. This is like a sign of acceptance, love, respect, I don't know what, but they just make these for me. I have some that are orange, which they consider Christmas colors. So I treasure them. So I just thought if you wanted to, I don't know, you guys that stitch, there's no way I can stitch. She made them, yeah. And you can see the back looks like the front.
Yeah.
Every one is exactly like that. So as we read, the bishop, so Francis, so my understanding of all this is, I go to Assisi, I live in Assisi, I spend 5 or 6 months a year there, pre-pandemic. So you all know about Francis, so it isn't for me to stand here and give you the date he died, the date, da-da-da-da-da-da. You all know it, you read all the books. So what I'm gonna give you is my take on Assisi and the love of Assisi and the people that are there. So we were invited by the bishop, Bob and I, Domenico Sorrentino, he's this big and he's fabulous. He just liked us. He invited us to his home. I didn't know what to bring as a gift. It was like a nightmare to decide what to bring. But anyway, we stood. He bodily put us in the spot where Francis stood and made us look out at exactly the exact site that Francis saw before he got sick. Well, he was already sick, before he called his brothers and asked them to take him down. So that was very, very amazing to us that he did that. After that, he took us to another part of the house where Francis actually disrobed. And he said, stand right there, and he took our picture. So he took our picture. So the bishop, because our church when we're there is San Rufino, which is the cathedral. So that's like here, the bishop goes to the cathedral. So San Rufino and the bishop, everything happens with the bishop. So, and he loves to speak English. So that's what he liked. So anyway, so let me see. So Bob said, well, you can say how the Transitus is like part of like we're dead when we're home and we're alive when we're in Assisi or whatever. And I said, no, that sounds like something you would say. I don't think I can say that, But he had a really good point there. But anyway, so I'm just telling you that part is wonderful. I have some notes. So the bishop says, right. Oh, so we were there once and we lived through the terremoto. Terremoto, across the headline, means earthquake.
Oh.
So we were there during the earthquake.
Wow.
7.5 earthquake in an 800 or 900 year old house.
What year was that?
what year, hon? 17 maybe 17. 5 years ago?
Oh. Wow.
Maybe. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
It was terrible. Whatever they tell you about an earthquake, it was worse than you could imagine. My landlady's daughter came running into my apartment like I was going to help her. We live on the same floor. But anyway, so the nuns called, the phone rang, and it's the nuns, my San Rufino nuns, Franciscan nuns called and said, come out. Don Cesare, the pastor of San Rufino, is hearing confession in the piazza. Come out. I said, sister, what? Like, wait a minute. Like, this is my first earthquake. Like, just wait a minute. Like, I don't think that I need to go out and get confession from Don Cesare in the middle of the night. Because it was the middle of the night at that point, wasn't it? Yeah, it was really late. But anyway, so after that, I learned terremoto. After that, we had the aftershocks. We had the whole... So if you remember, there was a part of Assisi a part of Italy away from Assisi that was ruined because of that. Towns were literally flattened. Hundreds of people just disappeared. There was no roads, there was nothing. So we did go there actually and see that. It was pretty amazing. It was really, really pretty amazing. It was in the North area. So another thing we do, so I'm jumping around. Another thing we do is, we talked about him going down to San Damiano. So if you've ever been to Assisi, San Damiano is just the most wonderful place on earth. If you're in Assisi, you can actually walk through the olive grove to get there. It's absolutely fabulous. And we went to Vespers there. Vespers there will make you cry. If you get a chance to go to Vespers in Assisi and San Damiano, don't miss that. You just cry through the whole thing. There's just no way to be there without crying. The other thing I like to do, if you ask anybody what's your favorite spot in Assisi, a lot of people will say the tomb. We can sit at the tomb for hours, literally hours. It's my most favorite spot. And you just stare up at the tomb. There's pictures of it in that bag. There's some postcards. It's so amazing that man, that little tiny man, brought all these people. We see thousands of tourists and pilgrims walking by while we're sitting there. It's just amazing. That in itself is a prayer, and that in itself is a testimony to Francis and his life and all of us, all of his followers, that little man changed the whole world. And even today, everybody's waiting in line to get down there just to touch and say a prayer at his tomb. So, and my granddaughter said a prayer at his tomb to become pregnant, and it worked. And it really worked. It worked really good. Another thing that we've been allowed to do is, because of our connection with San Rufino and the nuns, we've been allowed to enter the Sacristia Grande, the big sacristy in the back of the... So one day we were back there, and the nun said, go up there, because he's so tall. You know, all the Italian men are short, so he has to do all the tall stuff. So go up there and do whatever. Sister Anna wanted something done. Well, we opened the cupboard, 1,000-year-old cupboards, all this solid wood, and here are these vestments.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. On hangers. They each weigh maybe, 25 pounds, you think? Jewels. Wow. I mean, the most gorgeous vestments. But they were getting moldy from the mildew, because everything's damp in Assisi. Everything's damp. There's mold everywhere. They just accept it and move on. They paint over it, or they wash it down, or whatever. So we said to Sister Anna, well, there's a thing in America called damp red. We lived in Florida. There's this little bucket. You put some chemicals in the top, and it collects the water. Well, we went all over. I had a good friend, John. Those days we didn't have a car. He drove us everywhere. We finally found the equivalent. It's kind of like a Lowe's. Leroy and Merlin, it's called, but it's our Lowe's. They had damp red. So we bought, I don't know, 1 million of them. We bought every one they had, We put them all in these, and I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, what? Anyway, later on we found out that each one of those vestments is registered in Rome.
Oh my.
Oh my God. I said, oh no, do you think damp red's gonna hurt him? Like, oh my God, is that okay? We decided to put damp red in there. But the funniest part was trying to get the nuns to say damp red. What they finally said, damp red. They couldn't say damp red, no matter how we tried. But anyway, every time we go back, they always show us these little buckets full of water, and they have a big smile on their face, because none of the vestments are now mildew. It's just a simple little thing, that we brought to them. It was really neat.
What church was that in again?
San Rufino. In San Rufino, which, all the tourists don't take you to San Rufino. It's very upsetting. They hit Francis and Claire's. If you're lucky, you'll go to Damiano and maybe Riva Torto at the bottom, but nobody, because it's at the top. You go up the hill on the outside of the wall, it's at the top. So I love it, because you can start at the top and just work your way down to Francis. It's all downhill, but they just don't do it. But that is a cathedral. All right. So St. Francis is a basilica. San Rufino is a cathedral. Does that help?
Sharon, isn't that where he was baptized?
Yes, that's what I just said.
So that's another thing. So Bob and I were rebaptized in the font where Claire and Francis were baptized. Yes, there was a ceremony there one night. So if you go to Assisi and somebody says, "Do you want to go?" Don't wait for the end. Just say yes. Where shall I be? Because we say yes to everything, and it's opened up so many doors. We went to a meeting in Italian. It was all in Italian. The crux of the meeting was beautiful, but one of the cruxes of the meeting was everything is temporary. Even Jesus' time on the cross was temporary. So anything you're going through is temporary, because even Jesus got off the cross. So that did help, even though that was, somebody told me that's what they were saying, because in those days my Italian was terrible. It's not so good now. But anyway, so the part of the ceremony, part of this thing was to get rebaptized. We got right up there. We said, yeah, we're in. So that was wonderful too. So you got to be there for Easter. That's another thing. So there's this 800 or 900 wooden cross of Jesus on the cross. His arms come down, and they take him off the cross.
Unbelievable. I saw that.
They take him off the cross. The pastor, the other priest on Dadio, and maybe like one guy to help. They're on these big ladders. They take him off. They pull out the nails. His arms go down, and they take him off the cross. They take him and they lay him in this bier, like a beautiful bed with like a velvet. It's all velvet covered. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And they lay his body there. We got the opportunity to wash his body with soap from Israel, oil soap.
Wow.
And everyone comes in and lays flowers on this old statue. It's just unbelievable. The big doors of the church are open all night, so people visit with Jesus all night. It's absolutely amazing. The next morning, they bring Jesus down to St. Francis. They process down early in the morning on Good Friday. They process down, and they take him actually off. They take the actual statue off into the cloistered nuns so that they can touch the statue on the way down, and then they bring him back out.
Wow.
I mean, it's just amazing. And, and it's usually, they leave early in the morning, like 7 or 8 o'clock. It's usually cold, it's like a typical mountain town, like the mornings are freezing and the afternoons are warm. But anyway, that's another fabulous thing. So then, he goes down to St. Francis, and then everybody down at St. Francis loves him and touches him, and he's on the altar there, the downstairs, not the upstairs, the downstairs altar. Then they take Mary's of Seven Sorrows. It's a statue bigger than me. They take that off of the wall. It's up there. They take her down to go get Jesus. They process down with her. You cannot imagine this. Once you're there for Easter, you're done. There's no Easter anywhere else like that on earth. They go down, and it's all dark. It's all dark because it's dark into light. I mean, everything means something. Everyone turns off their lights, and Mary goes down in the dark to get her son. Then they get him, and they process back. Now it's all uphill. And these guys are carrying this huge Mary. I mean, it's unbelievable. You've seen it if you've been in San Rufino. That's Easter. It's like, am I really here? Like, you can't believe it. So if you could be there for Easter, it's wonderful. Then everybody mobs. You're all in the church waiting. Everybody mobs the statues. A little side note is, in my church in St. Leo's, there's a little statue, and there's a note on it in the sacristy, in the dressing room for us Eucharistic ministers, that said, "This statue's very old, please don't touch." I want to take the person that made the sign into Italy and let her see that these 800, 900 euro statues are mauled by the people. And it's not a big deal. It's okay. It's really okay. Anyway, that's Easter. You have to go for Easter. Yeah, Mary of Sorrows, that's unbelievable. The Laverna, go to Laverna where Francis got the stigmata. It's wonderful. It's about a 2.5 hour ride. Oh, an hour and a half. He does the driving. And what happens there every day at 3 o'clock, the friars that live there process from their cells to exactly the spot on the floor where Francis received the stigmata. There's a little thing. And they sing the entire way there. They sing the entire way back.
Wow.
And you look at yourself and say, what do I do at 3 o'clock every day? I'm not sure. And they're doing this every day, 7 days a week, to honor that spot where Francis received the stigmata. It's up in the mountains. It's very cold. Bring your coat. Even in the summer, it's freezing up there. We froze up there. So that's, I know, I'm talking way too long.
Oh, this is great.
We found a little spot, too, where Francis preached to the birds. Somebody said, there's a spot. So we went. It's down behind Mary the Angels. And you can actually go there. That's a really sweet little spot, too. And they have a statue there, and it's very nice. We saw that. So the nuns arranged our 50th wedding anniversary a couple of years ago when we were there, and so the priest that was beautiful. They made it gorgeous. We were at the altar. Oh my God, it was so embarrassing. They taught Bob how to sing a song in Italian, so he sang his own wedding song to me in Italian, which was a surprise. Yeah. Well, they took our rings. I mean, they tied them to a pillow. You have no idea. Kelly and Christopher were there. It was absolutely amazing. So then we had this huge party in the convent. Now, the convent where my nuns live is the house of St. Clare. The door that St. Clare left to go join Francis is in that convent, and we just go there regularly all the time. It's just amazing. But anyway, so Don Chesadate got excited, and he ran across to the rectory and got us a bottle of champagne. And I guess the other priest, Don Dario, he didn't want to be outdone by the pastor. So he did a toast, and he wished us a son when we got, because we just got married. I wish you in your life a son. Bob said, if I get a son, he's going to you. You're So anyway, all right, so and this is the rosary. I can't find mine, but I found Bob. So this is Carlo Acutis. You all know about him. I was asked to work. So I was asked to work. They venerated his body. They exhumed his body and they venerated it. They brought it into San Rufino. Again, it's the cathedral with the bishop. And I was told that I was going to do the English people speak to. And my little friend, Maria Rosa, she was going to do the Italian-speaking people. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just stand there like a fool. I learned how to say this is a free gift. I learned a few things in Italian. Little did I know, most people in the world speak English.
Yeah.
The Asians speak English. The Germans speak English. The English speak English. I never stopped talking for 5 hours until I was like comatose. I couldn't even, I was like, and my little Maria Rosa only spoke to a few people. But anyway, so this is the rose. This is what we gave out at the veneration. So, and now he is blessed and blah, blah, blah. So that's all wonderful. So I learned two things. So one thing I learned from Father Michael. So here's socks that came. So my Father Michael taught me one day. My first introduction to Francis was probably through Father Michael, very long time ago. And my main question to Father Michael was, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you look at a guy that looks healthy and he can go to work? How do you do it? How do you give him something and not feel guilty or not judge him? And his words to me were, and I'm going to share it with you because it's really wonderful. He said, he's hungry right now. Right now I'm going to give him a food. He's thirsty. Right now I'm going to give him something to drink. He didn't care. So I was overthinking it. It's so simple. The Franciscan theory is so simple. If you're hungry, feed somebody. If they need socks, give them socks. Who cares if they could work and they don't? They still need the socks. It's above your pay grade. You know what I mean? The other thing I learned from St. Francis is, and this will be my end, I promise, because I could talk for 10 days. What I learned from Francis is, and I've had some rough days in my life, we all have, what I take away is, and I spoke this to a man yesterday in my store, believe it or not. Francis said, I've done what is mine to do. Now you do what is yours to do. If you hit a rough patch, go back to those words and say, this is what is mine to do. And God will give you the strength to do it. I'm convinced. Do what is yours to do. That's what I took from Francis. The end.
That was so great.